that, that he's here. Our next guest is Carly. And Carly came to us as a stray. She has no tail, so we put her down as a corgi mix because of her short stature and the no tail, but we don't know. So she could be part pug because she has an underbite. She could be part hound given her coat, terrier for her ears. So your guess is as good as ours. And one of the things that might be fun to do if you decide to adopt her is to get DNA testing and then let us know what you find out, because she is an interesting looking dog. She's a perfect size because you could take her hiking and she could handle all of that, but you could pick her up in an emergency. So really nice size of dog. And of course, Carly is a name that we gave her, not the name that she may recognize. And she certainly wouldn't mind if you change it. So one of the things about Carly that we would like anyone who wants to adopt her to know, I don't know if you can tell since she has no tail, but it's really tucked in. When Carly's meeting new people, she's friendly and will eat, so she's confident enough to eat and likes food enough. But she's nervous about new people. And then once she gets to know you, she's great. So we would want anyone considering adopting her to know that she might love other dogs enough to make the dog park experience good for her, but she wouldn't like a lot of strangers to reach out and pet her without some training. Now, how do you train a dog to like strangers a little more? Actually, it's not that hard. So when you if let's say there was an alligator in here and I put $50 in his mouth and said, go ahead and get the $50. Depending on how much you need $50, you may or may not do it. Let's say I put $1 million in his mouth. Most of us would try somehow to do it. But would it make us not afraid of alligators? Not at all. So one of the mistakes people make in training dogs like Carly is that they offer strangers food and have strangers give her a bunch of food. She may want the food, but it isn't going to change how she feels about strangers. And oddly, it can actually cause a dog to bite, because while strangers are feeding her the food, she is aroused and nervous, so that makes her shaky, which means when she grabs for the food, she could miss. So that's not a good plan. So what you do instead is you, let's say, go to a PetSmart and park in the parking lot while people are going in and out with their dogs but not going to interact with you at all. You feed your dog and play with the squeaky toy and reward her every time a stranger is approaching, and as soon as the stranger leaves, you stop the rewards. Now, number one, you have to make sure it's a reward she wants. Some dogs don't think food is better than petting, or toys are better, so you have to know what your dog wants and make sure that it stops when the stranger leaves. When you notice that your dog's reaction to the approaching stranger is, now can I have my reward? You get a little closer. And pretty much the dog's feelings about strangers are changed. It's called counter-conditioning. And what you're teaching them is that instead of the approach of stranger means I might have to touch them, which isn't good, the approach of strangers means I might get something from my owner that I really like. And you can change how they feel about strangers being around. It's great to do that with the help of a professional trainer, because that explanation seems pretty straightforward, and you can't believe how wrong you can be with your timing and encouragement. So there are lots of trainers in Frederick that will come to your house and help you do just that. We have a whole list at the shelter. So Carly is probably going to just become more accustomed to strangers from being in the shelter and from being in a new home. But you could help her speed along that process. She is very young, so she has plenty of ability to learn bunches of new things about the world.